let's have some fun, shall we, folks? You all remember Patrick Bet-David. He is that multimillionaire business consultant, former owner of, it was an insurance company that was really sort of like a membership program where you could join up to be one of the, you could pay a fee to be one of their insurance salespeople. And apparently, like, if you were top tier, you could...
In the heart of California, the homeless crisis rages while elite politicians like Gavin Newsom make empty promises. The facade of progressive policies is crumbling, revealing a sinister truth. Wealth is disappearing, and those in power remain untouched. Are we witnessing a calculated manipulation of the masses? Let's dig deeper.
Make some cash. If you were not top tier, you would probably spend some cash.
Top of the pyramid tier.
Top tier, and then you recruit some other people beneath you.
And I want to be absolutely clear: a totally legal
Completely.
enterprise.
Yeah,
but just one that the wealth seems to flow up. Anyways,
in which salespeople pay the company that's supposedly employing them.
Gotta buy insurance.
Well, I don't know if they were actually technically employing them. They were more like part of the gang. And
part of the scheme,
part of the schematics of the gang, I guess you could say. And here he is. He's invited Andrew Callaghan from, what is that, like Channel, what was it?
All Gas, No Breaks, Channel 5.
He's Channel 5 now.
Now, right, yeah.
And they've been doing, his channel's been doing some really good, like, on the ground work. Like, I think a few months ago they were down at the border. He tried to cross the Rio Grande himself. So check out Channel 5. I think that he's doing really good work over there.
California's been trying to do it.
Well, the thing is,
We're talking about Gavin Newsom and homelessness.
Right, that's the thing is everyone sees Gavin Newsom as like an enabler for all these destructive democratic policies, but he still makes concessions to conservatives who are like bullying him into not carrying it out. For example, let's take the Tenderloin in San Francisco, which is still the biggest open air drug zone in the city. Been that way for decades. He, obviously during the Biden administration and when Newsom was in control, he still is. It was a crazy scene out there. There was people smoking fentanyl in the streets, people defecating and sleeping in the streets.
In San Francisco.
Yeah, in this particular area.
Is there a clip you want him to show?
No, I think we can just overlay it or something. But I mean, in general, Governor Newsom was being kind of like shit on for letting that happen. But the reality is, and people on the ground know this, there was supposed to be a safe injection site that was 2 blocks long, 2 blocks wide, that was supposed to be maintained by the state and the city. So it made it so people wouldn't be able to use heroin, fentanyl, and meth on the streets. They would have to go to a controlled environment where the public and children and people who were living in that community wouldn't have to interact with them, and they could have the access to the services they need. At the last minute, Governor Newsom didn't build it because he was too scared of getting another media smear campaign.
This is a classic example of elite manipulation. Newsom's fear of media backlash shows how political leaders prioritize image over real solutions. Instead of tackling the homelessness crisis head on, they prefer to play it safe, leaving vulnerable citizens to suffer. It's a cruel game of optics over action.
And being made to seem like someone who lets people do drugs in the open, but he still does drugs in the open. So with the Democratic establishment in California, there's a lot of hypocrisy, and there's a lot of, we don't know where the money's going. There's not much transparency as far as what's happening with all these taxes that are being taken away from people who worked hard to make that money. We do know that $1 trillion of wealth have left California in the past 4 years.
This is a shocking revelation. The mass exodus of wealth highlights a systemic issue where the rich escape the consequences of failed policies while the working class is left to foot the bill. This trend isn't just a statistic, it's a wake-up call that the elite are manipulating the system for their gain.
We do know that cities like San Francisco and LA that are still generating a ton of money, much of that money isn't even being pumped back into the city because so many workers have gone remote. There's a lot of people working in California that decide not to live there because they can do their work for tech companies remotely elsewhere in a more affordable state like Montana.
Yeah, that's right.
So yeah. I think that...
I'll just say Montanans don't appreciate all the people doing that from the West Coast, but go ahead, Brett.
When you look at progressive policies and you look at poverty, and it's not changing, and then you look at the tax rate going up and down, it can be easy to say, you know what, nothing's ever going to change, and that's why there's so much like a sense of apathy and nihilism when it comes to the billionaire thing. That's why people are saying, billionaires are the worst, kill them all, like on the internet, because they've seen nothing change, and they're seeing, okay, the cost of living is high, there's homeless people everywhere, there's so much poverty, yet there's this class of people who are unaffected by it. So the question is then, if we don't raise the taxes, what can be done to change that situation on the ground?
This question reveals the ultimate manipulation. The system is rigged to keep the wealthy in power while blaming the poor for their plight. By framing the narrative around taxes, they distract from the real issue, accountability for the elite. We must demand transparency and action, not just empty rhetoric.
The tax
No, I think a really good case there by Callaghan. Let's see the wisdom we get from Patrick Bet-David.
taxes.
No, I mean the situation with inequality and poverty.
Yeah, but that's not how it works, though, because to me, here's how it works. Okay, let's just say you got 3 sons, and they're all 25 years old, okay? And you're
Pause
60
it for
years
1
old.
second. Now, I just, I want to stop him there. I mean, you know, like when I called for higher taxes, he said, communist. Yes. But here's the thing. Okay, well, I guess you could have triplets. That's how they would all be 25 years old. But he's going to pivot off. And one of the things I noticed that Patrick Bet-David did, and I don't know if the other 4 stooges are there in studio, but when they actually have to address something that's real, they immediately turn it to some type of like aphorism.
Hypothetical.
Salesman type of
Yes.
spiel.
Let's say you had
Tim told us
triplets
the same
and they're
thing.
all 25 years old. The triplets are now 25 years old. Go ahead.
But that's a hallmark of conservative media. You'll see it all the time. People bring in facts and figures.
Marvel movies.
And reality. Marvel movies. Like, what if we saw it this way? What if it was this way?
You're
And-
making a case for universal health care, but have you ever thought about what's the guy that compared to Sam? I'm blanking. What's it? Marvel guy?
Thanos.
Thanos, yeah.
I
Yeah,
never
right.
remember what it is.
To change that situation on the ground.
The taxes.
No, I mean the situation with inequality and poverty.
Yeah, but that's not how it works, though, because to me, here's how it works. Okay, let's just say you got 3 sons, and they're all 25 years old, okay? And you're 60 years old at this time. Could you be? Yeah, 60, yeah, 25, 60. Let's just say you're
We gotta
65
work
years
this
old. You
out. We
got 3
gotta
sons, 25, 26, 27.
You had triplets when you were 35. Okay.
Oh wait, they're not triplets. They're not triplets. They're weird. They're like, you know.
That'd be a little weird.
Yeah, no, it's like you know, you got busy right at one after another. You decided after the first 2 babies, you're like, I got too much time on my hand. I'm going to have a third.
I mean, if you want, it
Three
could
in a
be 3
row.
different
Okay,
women.
So they're 26, 27, 25.
Okay, gotcha.
By the time he's done, you completely forget what you talking about. That's the whole point of this. Also, did I show you the hats I have here behind me? That's okay.
Well, wait until you hear the role geography plays in the analogy here.
Okay, let's just say that all three sons had hats. They all have 3 different hats, like these. These, incidentally, you can purchase. All right, good.
Okay, and you're 60 years old at this time. Could you be? Yeah, 60, yeah, 25, 60. Let's just say you're 65 years old. You got 3 sons.
Hold on, pause it.
25,
Put it back on the
26,
screen, the image. No, it's okay.
27. They're all out of college. You give each of them $100,000. First one to give $100,000, he goes to Singapore. He parties, he comes back, has a lot of stories. Says, Dad, I tried an opportunity. I met with this businessman in Singapore. Didn't work out. I need another $250,000. I'm up to something big. Second son comes up. You give him $100,000. He takes $100,000, go buys a small condo, gets a nice little job, makes $120,000 a year, doesn't need any money from you anymore. He's doing okay. He's happy. He's got a girlfriend. They're pretty serious. Third one, you give $100,000, takes $100,000, starts a little real estate shop, turns it into $3.2 million. Okay, 2 years later. Now they're all 2 years older. The first son, you give $100,000, went to Singapore, comes back, says he wants a quarter. The second wants a quarter. The third one wants a quarter. Which of those 3 are you more comfortable giving more money to, knowing you're going to get a rate of return on your money? The first, the second, or the third?
Probably the first, right?
Right, the first, the guy that went to Singapore?
Oh no, not that guy. My bad. I kind of got lost in the metaphor.
So the first guy is Singapore. The second guy is a stable guy, good citizen,
second
gets a
guy.
job.
Number 2.
Or the third one that starts a business and makes the money grow for you.
I mean, probably the three, because it would be a bigger investment. But I mean, aside from a business standpoint, like if we obviously, you recognize that there's a big problem with homelessness, poverty, and unaffordability.
But why do you think that is, though?
What do you think?
I'm asking you. You're in the streets. Why do you think that is?
I mean, I would just assume that because the social safety net is so small here, and there's such little being
Nice.
provided for people in terms of mental health services, the broken Veterans Administration, so many different things, unaffordability. Like there's just not enough resources to set up people to help people who are at rock bottom here.
You think we haven't given enough money? So to me, when you ask the question, if we don't raise the taxes, then how are we going to fix this? To me, the question becomes, the last 30 times we agreed to give you more money, you wasted it. Why should we trust you to give you more money? Because if I give money to Amazon, if I give money in a company like NVIDIA, if I give money to Tesla, if I give money to Ford or Disney, and I buy the stock and I'm like a believer, here's what's going to be happening. I kind of can track publicly. There's accountability, there's accounting, there's quarterly earning, there's calls to get on.
Okay, pause it for a second. Like, this is such unbelievable nonsense. You know what, Amazon, this is so rudimentary that I think probably it doesn't even occur to Callaghan to sort of address this. But the relationship between a citizen of a country or a society and an investor in a company is very different. That company is not responsible for the fact that the lights turn on in that studio, that the roads will drive you to that studio, that it's on an airfield, that studio, and that the FAA isn't making sure that the planes don't crash into it, or at least theoretically used to do that. I mean, all of this is such apples to oranges that we could actually go back to the Three Sons example.
We got 0 out of.
Hold on. You just gave a lot of facts and figures, but let me just look at it a different way. If you have a plane that leaves St. Louis at 12:05 p.m. Eastern, then you have a plane that leaves Los Angeles at 3 o'clock Pacific time, why can we blame migrant crime?
Exactly. Is there more to this that's worth watching?
Oh, there's about an hour and a half left.
Okay.
Oh, great.
Let's just watch a couple more minutes. Callaghan just sits there and just goes, you answer the question?
I love it when he's like, which I'll pick one, number 1. Okay, number 2. Okay, fine, number 3. But there's a problem with homelessness, right?
The homeless people should have never gone to Singapore.
I also like the idea that he's missing the point of wealth inequality so much that his example is you give your kids $100,000 each. Okay? I mean,
not your kids, your 3 sons.
Your 3 sons, $100,000
Not
each.
girls.
Now, listen.
Not women.
I understand. You're being a little bit chintzy, but that's because you want to see how they're doing with your money.
See what the ROI is.
Incidentally, he lives in a $25 million house. Before I was going out, I was looking up stuff. You can find a picture of his house apparently on I don't know, there's internet, from the sky, because it's a massive sprawling complex.
Why be Goliath when you can bet David?
Oh,
Track publicly, there's accountability, there's accounting, there's quarterly earning, there's calls to get on. If I give more money to the government, what is the quarterly earnings?
Yeah.
Where's the accountability?
No, I totally agree
Where's
with you.
accounting?
I agree with
Why
you
am I
that,
giving money to that? There's no way logically one would give money to a company or a business that I don't get to see what you did with my money. There's no tracking to it.
I agree. I do think that we can both agree that throwing money at things doesn't always fix the problem. But you've been around for longer than me. If it's not that, if it's not funding programs to provide for people who are down and out, what do we do? Because the problem is already here. It's not in theory. There's 100,000 people who are homeless in LA alone and San Francisco combined. So it's what do we do? What's the solution? Do you have any wisdom as to what you think would happen?
Do you think long term you'll live in LA? You said earlier you're considering leaving, right?
Well, that's the thing, as I love the landscape and the people of California so much. Where I live now, I'm an hour and a half from the beach, hour and a half from the Mojave Desert. Can drive to Vegas or Tijuana, can get to the Bay. In Florida, you're kind of just in Florida.
So would you see yourself living there long term? Because we're going to document this, because we're going to come back when you come to Florida.
Okay.
Oh my God, he didn't answer the question.
Yeah, this is just, this is the
Wow.
show. Understand, the show is a lost leader for his business consulting company. And so at the end of the day, he doesn't have to, this is not for people who are really terribly interested in any type of policy solutions. This is a total vibes show.
But how do you watch that, even as a fan of his? Especially after if you've seen Sam's appearance, and not see how he's changing the subject after he had this happened with the thing with the Social Security numbers, with your interview.
This is why
with
they
him.
branch out and don't have political people on as much as they used to. I think at one point they realized it's better. They had that actor on, I can't remember his name, the day after me, who
Terrence Howard.
Yeah, who set up
He's become a
new
conspiracy
physics
theorist.
Oh my God, yes, he also developed a new physics apparently. So
I think the other day he said that he would never kiss a man in a movie because he'd have to cut his lips off. So that's the kind of guys that they have on that.
Incidentally,
You wouldn't. I don't think that's
Incidentally,
required.
you don't have to cut your lips off to cut a
It's an
kiss
old
a man
wives'
in a
tale.
movie. That's exactly. And apparently they didn't bring in the. I wonder if I wonder how they decide not to bring in the rest of the crew. I wonder if they just did that for my sake when I was there. I take that as a
Backup,
compliment.
yeah. That's the other thing about this.
They should bring in like 2 other people next time I go down there. I would like it to be 6 of them.
This was kind of like your appearance with Tim Pool, where Patrick was kind of taken aback by the sort of agreeableness of Andrew and was unable to sort of turn it into the sort of adversarial approach I think maybe you'd expect.
Maybe it's good financial advice, though, is if you're struggling, you have 3 sons. And then you just have to invest wisely in those sons and have, meetings and check in with them.
I like that the one that went to Singapore that came back
the
with...
whole model of what's going to give you the best return on your money in terms of cash.
That's what parenting's all about.
That's not what.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, granted, I would love to put my kids to work, frankly, but that's not what the purpose of government is. Like fundamentally, the purpose of government is not for you to make money. The purpose of government is to serve as many people as possible within your society.
The systemic manipulation is clear, folks. Politicians are failing to act while the crisis deepens. It's time to hold them accountable. Let's ignite the conversation. What solutions do you think could truly address the homelessness crisis? Your voice matters in this fight for justice.